So I wanted to thank everyone for coming this evening. I am very, very excited to be able to do this. And so this night is possible because of a partnership between the ISCEW and a startup company called Coaching Hub that I'm part owner of. And one of the things that I thought was nice about our partnership is that we're all about empowering women, right? We're about empowering people that we meet. And so that type of goal excites me greatly. And the topic that I thought would be great for this type of group is really about talking about what it means to network from a place of giving. So most of you are used to the traditional pass out your card, you ask someone to give you a call, give you an email. And so what we're going to do is going to be quite a bit different. We're going to be having conversations with each other where we're using appreciative inquiry to be able to ask questions of each other, to really find out more about the other person. And so one of the things I like to do with all the workshops that I have is I like to get to know who each of you are. And so I have an activity that I wanted to start. And if you could introduce yourself and let me know who you are and what your first job was.
I'll just stand up.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Takia.
Sorry, my phone is working. It's going to stop in a second.
Name is Takia. You want to say where I work now, or
You can, yes.
I work with the EOL in the Drive Help Center. And my very first job actually wasn't really a job; it was an internship. I worked at the technical college, and I was in the biotech section. That was my very first paycheck at 16.
Very cool. And that's amazing because I'm Carol Cox. I'm the help desk supervisor. Right. And my first job was babysitting. And I remember really hoping it'd get past midnight because then I got a whole $1 an hour instead of 50 cents. And I was the one that always did the dishes, so they left them for me. My first paid job, besides babysitting outside in a real, was Payless House of Values.
I'm Allison. I currently work at DOT in its Office of Equal Opportunity. And my first job was to grind off the oil and dust off plumber's pipes. That was in punishment for being kicked out of middle school math. I did get paid.
I'm Elizabeth. My first job was working at the Department of Corrections through an internship with the high school where they match you with a usually state office. And I currently work at the Healthcare Authority reviewing applicants for Medicaid eligibility for Apple Health.
I'm Deb Williams. I work at Department of Revenue. My first real paycheck was as a lifeguard, which is still an awesome job. We'll go back and do that.
I'm Jane Chapman. My first job was Burger King. I work for Department of Licensing.
I'm Amber Bartholomew. My first job also was babysitting. The first real paid job I worked in an office of a mental company. I was there for 15 years after that. Now I work for the Board of Industrial Insurance.
So I'm Mandy. This is Ethan with me. So I work at OFM. I'm a senior research analyst there. My first job was I worked in for a local little florist company, and so I would be the one that like Saturday mornings would have to go around and deliver flowers. You're knocking on people's door at 8:30 in the morning. They're a little ticked, and then when you're sitting there with like a big bouquet of flowers, they're just like, "Oh, okay." That was actually a really fun job because everyone always smiles. You make people happy.
And so I'm just going to acknowledge one of our guests. She is from Argentina. So her name is Marcela, and I met her through LinkedIn, and she was very excited about being a part of empowerment and networking. And so she's going to join us here. And so we're going to say hello. And I'm waiting for her to see if she's going to be on the screen or if she's going to remain on the telephone. Marcella? So we'll check in just a minute. I can move on to that. Okay, next person.
Hi, I'm Carla Heinitz. A sandwich shop in sandwiches in our local town. And now I work for the Washington State Conservation Commission.
I'm Margie Hansen, and my first job was babysitting. I got a whole $1 an hour before midnight. Now I work at Pierce College.
I'm Jasmine Pippen-Timko, and my first job was babysitting as well. I won't say what I made. And then my first like real job was working at Higgins. I'm Amanda. I work at the VC licensing office with Jasmine, and my first job was I was there 47 years. So I learned a lot, actually.
My name is Kim Hudowitz, and my first job was working from back east, and so I was working in the local hospital at the desk where they had the volunteer coordination happening. And I now work for the Department of Health. I'm an emergency preparedness specialist. And interestingly enough, looping back to my very first job, I'm the statewide volunteer program coordinator. Continued all the way through.
Yes, that's wonderful. I think that she left again, so we'll just kind of watch. I can listen for the bell. See?
I'm Deborah McLain, and I'm a partner in crime. And I am a substitute teacher. You can feel sorry for me now. K through 8. And I also teach at the college. And department, 2 classes that I created. A lot of fun too. And then I do workshops.
I don't remember if I mentioned before that I work for the Department of Labor and Industries as their accounting services manager. And one of my first jobs was actually working for Mervyn's. And what they had me do for the very first day was to learn how to fold Levi's. And I swear that when I went to bed at night, I dreamed about folding them for the first couple of nights. And so that was a great first of many jobs that I've had. And yes, I still remember how to fold Levi's when I need to do that. So used to. Okay. Marcella, are you with us?
Oh.
Okay, I can hear you. And so can you see us? Okay. All right. So now that we've had some introductions with each other, we have something fun for you guys planned before we jump into our presentation. So we're going to be doing a lot of moving, talking, discussing, because I want to be able to have that environment where we can do that with each other. I wanted to make it fun and inviting. And so, Deborah, would you like to introduce your grab bag? My purple bag? Yes, your purple bag.
Yes. Okay.
So you guys are going to love this one.
I've seen a version of it before, but so oftentimes in our lives, especially in the workplace, we need to think on our feet. So this is a little exercise to help us get to know each other, but also to recognize that we're pretty good at this. A lot of groups go, oh, I want to do this, but it's fun. So what the rules are is you pick something without looking, you pick something out of the bag, and the object, you can use it literally or figuratively. And you tell a story about yourself in 1 minute related to the item. Okay? Any questions?
Or fear?
Now, is there a brave person that would want to go? I was going to have Linda.
Yes, I've done this before. And so
you want to do
sure,
it? Okay.
She told me she'd switch up the bags.
I did. So you
Last time I kind of went to the thing I wanted. So I can't do
no
that.
looking.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
And then who has it? Can someone time it? I guess I can.
Oh, wow. Okay, go
Does somebody have a clock? Okay, awesome. 1 minute.
So
Go.
this is a lovely dog leash here. And what I think it's symbolic of is we really like to spend time with people that we enjoy, animals that we enjoy. And so what better way to take this out and to go take that dog. I have a dog named Elsa, just like in the movie. Yes, she is a white dog in color. And so in color, she's an English Golden Retriever. And this may not be strong. We go walking. We don't go walking. We go sledding, or we get pulled along. So she would actually make a better dog for being sled puller in Alaska. And then my little son, I don't know that he could even hold on to this either. I think we both get drug along. And so,
Oh. That's a minute? Okay.
So that's basically,
Good
you
job.
can make it symbolic or you can make it.
Okay. I'll do volunteer as long as I get volunteer. Oh, yes.
Give it over with.
Oh, I'm just gonna have to listen, like feel around and then listen.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
So,
Sure. This is gonna be a very long minute.
Okay.
So this pair of sunglasses, the first thing I think of is a convertible. A very nice day. I work with someone who he has had a Miata in his mind forever. He just recently got one. He tells me today, too much, but that's what I picture. Sunglasses. But for me, I obviously cannot wear these. Glasses on. They're very important in the summer. You protect your eyes from the sun, which that would be a wellness thing. When I'm with ICSAW, I was the wellness chair for 5 years. So everything is kind of wellness for me. I would normally not pick a pair of brown. I would pick black. Black is a favorite color for. Geez, how long do I got left? Right now, 5 seconds.
All right.
40 seconds. Okay.
Okay. All right. Okay, good.
So, Stabler. Probably reminds me of when I was in charge of all the it was a long time ago. So I was living in Portugal at the time, and I was in charge of all the computers and radios of the entire base, which was probably around 100,000 work, but everything had to be papered. So I had this kind of stapler on me, and I would vaguely remember getting momentary carpal tunnel. Other than that, other than this, it reminds me of responsibilities I have to do.
Good job.
So tissues remind me of allergies. And so I guess I'm thinking either. I moved from Arizona here and had allergies. There's more stuff growing here, so I don't know why I don't have allergies here. I'm really happy about it. It also reminds me of being a mom, because moms always have to. Sometimes
Oh my gosh.
First, I'm going to get you out with this. Is it cake topper?
Yeah. Is the bride dragging the groom?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my, so many things I could say. This, I think, reminds me of a wedding that I went to. where there was a lot of drinking going on and a lot of celebration and connection. They connected the two. And the reason I said, oh my, was because at this particular wedding, the groom passed out from drinking too much. And this is like years ago. But when I first saw this, I'm like, so yes, he had quite a lot to drink, and they did, that was before like videos and cameras and all of that. But they all gathered around him, and he was laying on the floor. And in the movement that was supposed to be funny, the bride went over and grabbed him by the collar and started dragging him across the floor. So that's why when I looked at this, I was like, I know exactly what this is. I've actually seen this happen. So it wasn't, I was fairly young at the time. I was not married. And so I thought, is that really what weddings are about?
Good job. Okay. Who would like to go? Okay.
Oh, interesting. So this is a little sewing kit, and this reminds me of a hobby that I just started. I started quilting, which is unusual for me because I've had this fear of sewing since like high school with my neck, where I was so frustrated ripping everything out like 5 times. I never went. Can you hear me? So when my and I had to sew anything, I can hear you. Really stressed about it. It was just anxious. So I think I've turned the corner, I've come around, and I'm like, no, I enjoy it. It's fun. Of course, I use my sewing machine and just straight lines, cutting straight. So I made some lap quilts and baby quilts. So I'm enjoying it. Yeah. It's a nice little hobby. And, the time just flies by. So.
How are we doing with time?
Oh, I think that we are doing good with time. It's just a little bit before 6, so we're doing great.
Or Errol?
I have so I just finished school, and one big thing I had to do was math. And I had this really bad habit that every time I went and showed up for my math course, I had a pen. I only carry pens. I don't know why. I think because I'm left-handed and everything smears. I've always hated pencil. And there was a girl in front of me who would see me like crossing things out and rewriting them. She would hand me. And about 2 weeks into class, she showed up and she had like a value packet of them. She just set like 3 on the desk. So I'm going to think of her every time I see one of these, which I'm glad she bought 3 because I started using them across. I always end up with like all the clear stuff out. And there's like little pieces of white on there.
And Jasmine just graduated with highest honors.
I was like,
Yeah.
So this reminds me of my first year in law school, and I had been pretty much a teetotaler. I don't think I've had like even a bottle of wine at that point. But I remember taking my crim law exam. Made no sense at all, and I was so like I was sure I was going to flunk out of school, and so I got pretty. I definitely invited some wine on that. The funny thing is, though, I had my court exam. That saved me because I thought, oh wow, I did really good. I'm going to totally get the highest paper and all that. And the thing that sticks with me is that when the grades they were actually the same. Or B plus.
Good job. You got
Oops, is that
Yep.
one together?
No.
Oh, okay. Tea.
What's it
Well,
called?
It is smooth move tea. You can take that a couple ways. Because it's a laxative tea. That was the way I was thinking it. I'm not a tea drinker so much. I do drink wine. I like my wine. But my husband kind of tends to drink beer and I tend to drink wine, and that's kind of it. And we used to like to go to Leavenworth quite a bit and go to the wine walks and do that. But we have kind of gotten into teas lately, and just the last like 2 years, and I've got like 6 kinds on my counter. Especially for at night though, they really help when you can't sleep. And I kind of tend to drink a ton of coffee in the morning, so I have a hard time going to sleep and my eyes are big. So I'm looking for things that help, and so I kind of do more tea.
All right. Good job.
Oh, screwdriver. Well, it kind of reminds me of a little bit, not anything about work, but about my home life. I grew up with a father who paid to have things done. He was really honest about it and just paid to have things done. And my husband grew up with a man who could fix anything and also taught him how to fix anything, but also wasn't terribly kind about it in the process. And so my husband can fix anything and he begrudgingly does it, but he hates it. And so I'm slowly turning him into someone who pays to have things done.
Yes. So, I'm going to watch, so I'm going to use the time sort of narrative here. You definitely, I think when you have kids, time just goes by so fast. So my oldest is 3.5, almost 4, and he just got a haircut today. And he's a little boy, and I just looked at him and was like, I don't like that haircut at all. You're getting too big. And so this one now, he's 4 months old. So it's just what I remember when I had him. I remember the labor. I did not get labor, and it's going by so fast. And it's just like wow. So definitely, I feel like, and as I get older too, I definitely feel like time is going by a lot faster. I think I remember when I was a kid, it's like, oh, summer can't get here fast enough. And like I woke up here and I'm 40. What the? Okay, I don't remember how I got here.
I just started doing a second job doing security. And I learned how to do a citizen's arrest. It's like ridiculous. Like, please stay right there while I call the police. It's super cool. It's a job I never would have thought of with my friends. It's one of those networking things. So, and then also, my dad is somebody who doesn't want to need anything, and I got a little flashlight for $20, everything. So nice.
Well, yes, a couple more things. Maybe? Okay.
My first job. It's really easy. It was Dairy Queen.
Oh my God.
I could make those swirls like anybody. I always get the experience. It's right for sunshine. that I use because I'm really resourceful. I love to recycle and compost and do all that kind of stuff. I'm very trying to be conscientious of that kind of stuff. And so, yeah, and it broke a few months ago. And so I was just like devastated. Like, now I have to recycle it, but I have a new one. So.
Yes, we've got two people. Hasn't gone yet. I know one person that has. All right. Go for it, Elizabeth.
I go to the first one.
Kind of have me a little bit stumped.
That's the little first. My dog would love that.
Great. Definitely color my nephew lights. Neon green, neon yellow clothes.
Did you ever play tennis?
No, I'm thinking about the fact that I'm not very good at tennis. One of my friends and I played tennis in high school, but my hand-eye coordination for sports just, I'm probably more of a soccer player myself.
There's your story. There's your story.
Awesome.
Yeah, good job.
Okay, I'll be brave. I'll be a brave little toaster.
Oh, a tape measure. All right, so here's my story. Tape measures can help you learn where to go, how to measure things. I am probably the most directionally impaired person. My husband knows this, my boys know it, and also my admin assistant knows it. So he always asks me, okay, so you know how to get here, right? Because you've been there before. It doesn't matter. You need to give me a strip map, and you have to give me pinpoint directions. And I recently read a book that said that women and men are different in the way that they deal with directions. What guys will do is guys say, hey, you go west down this street and then you turn south down this other street. Women, no, we look for significant terrain markers. Like, no, go to the Costco, turn right, and then you look for the Starbucks right next to it. So but one of these can also be useful for a lot of other things as well. So you want to help. And I think that's about it.
Jamie didn't get to go, right?
No, but Amy, what was your first job?
Yeah.
Oh, my very first job?
Yeah.
My dad owned a drugstore in Edgewood, which is near Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And so guess what his kids did? We all worked at the drugstore. I mean, they didn't let us pass out the pills. But I remember when I was working there, we sold cigarettes for 50 cents a pack. And I was like 12 years old selling people cigarettes.
Oh, wow.
I how things have changed.
Yeah, definitely. And where do you work now? Oh, right now, well, I used to work for the state for 11 years, and I work out at Joint Base Support. I'm the IT director.
Oh,
So, and I saw this on Facebook. I thought,
Oh,
you know,
good. I was trying to get all the different
yeah.
groups of people that I could think of.
I will, so I
That's
said, hey, let me
wonderful.
go check it out. I haven't been there because I used to be part of ICSCW when I worked
Okay.
at the
All
state.
right. So you have a connection?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. All right.
So thank you for posting it.
Yes, I'm glad you came and thank you for sharing how you saw.
Yeah. So did everyone else go?
Maybe do you have one more thing? Or just-
Jane.
I think she's going to pick from everything
Yes.
else.
Let's go.
What I want.
I know. She gets an advantage.
Oh,
okay.
doing it the Linda way.
So, my husband has a dog. His name is Charlie. And Charlie is a jerk. And sometimes he's really sweet. And he loves to go on his walks. And sometimes there's no distraction. And I get dragged through the neighborhood. So I figured out actually how I can loop this around him and make it just so it's a little bit harder for him. And that helps a lot. But occasionally, the other day, he actually gave me whiplash so bad. I couldn't feel anything anywhere. And I realized, I think he fixed something. I mean, I just kind of felt
Haven't had a problem since. So. But he is a lot of fun to take on walks. He's kind of turned into a jerk with other dogs. So I'm not sure how he's going to react. With the sun coming out, all the neighbors come out. We're coming, right? Oh, yeah, yeah.
We got the 6 minutes. I think.
The neighbors all come out, and so little kids, can I pet him? And I'm like, and he always is very polite and lets him. And it works out okay. They're pretty nice.
And you get into alignment, which you.
Yes.
Yeah, for free.
Yeah. Yes.
Good job. So the point for the couple people that came in late was just that we oftentimes have to think on our feet when we're speaking work groups or in other situations. And so that was just nice to show you, oh, how funny you are and how great. You can just bring in any story you want. It doesn't even have to relate to your material and just lighten up the room.
So we're now going to jump into the part that you had saw advertised, and it's all about how we're going to learn about networking from a place of giving tonight. And so I tend to like to present without using a PowerPoint, but I know that everyone wants to have a PowerPoint so they can follow along. And so they are numbered, and I will keep you in the loop of where we are. And so what I wanted to give you is the framework of how we're going to do things this evening. So we're going to talk about what appreciative inquiry is. We're going to talk about the characteristics of what it is and what its goals are. Deborah and I are going to do an example so you guys can see what it will look like. So when we do our activity, you won't go into it cold. We feel that the best way to learn something is also to see it. You're going to hear it, see it, and then do it. We're going to talk about the observations. So I don't want you to be thinking about that as we're talking, and I'm going to explain why, but just keep it in the back of your mind. That will be something that we want to discuss. And so when we have our partnerships and we do that, then we're also going to have a little bit of after talk about what you felt, what it was like, and really, that's what we have in store. And so what I hope that you will get from this experience is exactly that. I want you to experience the difference between taking your card and handing it to a person and say, Deborah, can you give me a call? And Deborah, do you have a card? And so, so that's the traditional way of doing it. It does have its place. And there's times where maybe you don't have your phone on you, and so you do need to give someone your phone number. So this is a little cleaner, more organized way to do it. But I think you're really going to like what I'm going to show you a whole lot better. So, and you're going to tell me what you think when we're done with this. I've done my presentation in the way that I had hoped that you would receive it. And so on page 3, I give a definition that's more textbook at first. So appreciative inquiry is the art of asking questions that draw out solutions and potential in any given situation. So I've taken that definition and defined it as appreciative inquiry is tangible, and it comes into existence when our history is recalled by yourself or someone else inquiring us to remember energizing moments. So in an energizing moment, what will happen is it's going to drive our intrinsic desire to want to create more of those moments. And so it's a series of interactions that you will get to, and you get to that by inquiring or having curiosity for another person. And so when you're doing the question, or when you're asking the questions of somebody, there's certain characteristics that are present if you're doing it in the way that we're going to do it here in a few minutes, but you're really connecting in a way to build a bridge to commonality. So you notice that when we did the opening exercise, how we were listening to different people talk about an object, and in that object, people at that time were thinking about how the object could be a commonality in their lives. A lot of you used something that was common. So if you take that same concept, you're talking to another person, you're going to be having them do something very similar to what we just experienced. And so when you're having those conversations, you're going to be listening with genuine interest. And so I know a lot of times we get nervous, right? And so we're sitting and we're talking to another person and we're thinking about what we're next going to share. So this might be a little hard to do at first, this exercise, because we're used to doing that. But I'm going to ask that you don't do that, because you're going to get so much more out of the experience when you focus on the other person. So it'll take a little bit of getting used to, but you're going to see a big difference. And one of the things that you also witness or see that is that we're giving with the goal of connecting people to resources. And so resourcing can come in a number of forms. It can be introducing someone that they should know. It could mean having a resource that's out and available in technology, and so you want to connect a person how to do that. It could also be a resource in the fact that it could be a book or a magazine. So it comes in a lot of different formats. And so the idea behind resourcing is letting that other person know that you've identified from talking to them that there's a resource that they could use, and then you're sharing with them how they can obtain it. Because what the goal is to give somebody actionable items or things that they could do. Because when we give someone our card and say, hey, call me, it doesn't have quite the same effect. You might call, you might not. But if you talk to somebody and you're giving them resources, let me give you the name of Deborah. She does a really great creative public speaking workshop. Let me give you her email and her course curriculum. Or I know online that people want to learn more about how to put together a LinkedIn profile. And so I know a couple of people that are LinkedIn coaches. Those types of things are what you're going to be doing. So there's one illustrative example that I didn't want to leave in the PowerPoint, because I really believe in being able to have a tangible thing to take home with you. And so Deborah and I are going to talk a little bit about something that we experienced in this concept. And we had a LinkedIn local event, and we had people come to the event that were very different in background, very diverse. And there was a snowboarder, there was an author and motivational speaker. There were two people that you wouldn't think would normally sit down and have a conversation with each other in the room. And so what we experienced was that these two uniquely different people went through these exercises that we're going to do today. And they were just like so amazed about what they had to offer to the other person. And so it gets really exciting to me to see when people can give to another person or persons. It just feels really good. And through their interaction, they just formed this bond. They listened to each other's dreams, aspirations, and they helped meet each other's needs at the time. That was one of the things that came out. And so it could be a need that a person's looking for. It could also be something that someone wants to try a new thing. There's all kinds of different things that could come out. And so we thought that before we put you into groups to try this exercise out with a partner, that Deborah and I would put ourselves on the spot and try to do what we're going to have you guys do. Because
this is unscripted.
It's unscripted. We didn't even talk about it today. So I have no idea what she's going to ask me.
You asked me.
Okay.
Do you remember it? Okay, so the prompt question that we got given and that you're going to get given, you have a little bit of time to think about it, is what is something you've always wanted to do or do more of?
Okay. So Deborah,
Yeah.
what is one thing, just one thing that you always wanted to do and do more of?
Well, I actually have always wanted to open a cafe. And I've been thinking about it actually a lot more lately. And I want it to be really specific, and I want it to have an atmosphere of welcoming and warm, and a place where people actually want to hang out, not just drive through and get a coffee or just run in for a minute, but a place, that has couches. And I mean, I'm just thinking in terms of the atmosphere of it so much more, because there really isn't, I can't think of a place like that locally. So.
Okay. So I heard that you want to open a cafe, and you sounded like maybe you wanted to have it be mostly like like refreshments oriented? Is that what you're thinking, or were you thinking about having more of a food line?
Yeah, less emphasis on the food, just simpler food and great coffee, maybe great wines or something, but also have it be a place that displays local art on the walls, local artists, their pieces on the walls, and maybe have a musician's corner that local musicians come and play on a Friday night, and just like have it be a local, warm, very hangouty place.
Okay, and so I've heard that you want to have this really great atmosphere. So
Yeah.
what would that ideal atmosphere look like to you? Where would your location be?
Yeah, I think I've been thinking about this, so that's a great question, because I was thinking there's really, aside from the new Denny's going in at Tumwater at the exit there, there's nothing between there, nothing breakfasty or cafe-y between there and the Farm Boy restaurant, which is way down in Maytown exit. So I think somewhere in between there, and it needs to be quaint, and it needs to be something that I can make beautiful on the outside as well for outdoor seating, maybe a fireplace or a wood stove inside for winter time. Don't want to come?
And so, Deborah, I think I know somebody that would be great that you could talk to, that is a local business owner that has an atmosphere that is that quaint, so I could introduce you to her.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
And while I'm hearing you think, or while you're telling me these things, I'm also thinking that I have a realtor that can help you find some property. And I also have a neighbor that lives across the street that also is a mortgager. So, so those are some people that I think would be great. And I think my husband could probably run you through some accounting applications for the numbers, so you can come up with an estimate. And here over by South Puget Sound, you might go into the Small Business Administration and ask for them to have a consult.
Thank you, that's amazing. I will take those contacts.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
And then, so I was the speaker and she was the listener. So this active listening, where she was pulling more, and as she was pulling more out of me, she was, I think she was what resource to do. Yes.
So with that, Deborah is going to have each of you get into pairs. And so you can choose to work with someone that you have right next to you, or you can switch things up and go over and talk to someone you've never seen before, which I don't know if that's never seen before, but I mean, just hi.
Number? I know. There's 16 in 3G.
Okay.
So there's
Okay, good.
You can wander.
Okay, I will wander, and Deborah's going to give us a little more the instructions about how long they have before they switch to moderate.
So believe it or not, it's 10 minutes and it's going to fly. So 10 minutes. So you're going to partner up and you're going to decide between the partners who goes first in listening and who goes first in speaking. And then what is going to be interesting is the listener is going to take the notes for the speaker. And then what you're going to get is the resources or the ideas. Sometimes maybe I don't have a resource or a contact for Linda, but I can see something in her and I'll say, you know what? I think you're this, and I think I can really see you doing this way, because that's kind of how you roll and stuff. And she might not see that unless I say that. So the idea is not just a contact or a resource, but what are you seeing as they're talking, right? And just pulling good things out. And so the beauty of this is that even though we're giving in this kind of exercise, everyone's receiving. So we're going to time it. Who's my timer? One time. Okay, that's all right. So time it. 10 minutes each. Yes, 20 minutes total. And this is the bulk of the workshop. So this is what we're going to really get the feel of this by doing exercise. So partner up. Pick a partner, and then decide between the partner who's going to listen first.
Are we ready to start?
Not yet. Camden, have a partner. Maybe have a partner.
Yes.
Who doesn't have a partner?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you bet. Yeah. Who doesn't have a partner? Raise your hand. Okay, you me. Okay.
Yeah.
And then remember to take notes as the listener. Take the notes. And then we'll tell you when to switch. We will tell you. Sure. Okay. Okay, it already started. Good.
Let's go.
Okay.
Fly over there and see it. I just love to assignment here. I went to Ireland area.
Just kind of making sure everyone's feels comfortable with the exercise. So far, it's been great.
Right behind those. And I'd like to
It is very good.
I'm not sure that I have my
What's your room? Thank you for doing this, by the way. It's always helpful. All right. Not having to think about time. So, question to you. Does anyone need more cards? Okay. We're gonna do some discussion. Oh my God.
And they do.
Okay, time is up. This is probably the hardest part, is coming back together. So I want to say that you guys did a really great job with this exercise. This is the second time that I've done it officially. And so you guys figure out exactly what to be doing and how to do it. So I didn't have much of a role to have to redirect the conversation. If anything, I hated to end it. Yeah. So as you guys have gone through this, I wanted to put a few ideas out there to see if you agree. But did you feel like when you redirect the lens to giving rather than what you're going to give or get, that people behave differently than you would typically think? Because that was one of the things that I realized from watching, that there's a little bit different interaction that happens. And I think that part of that is because you're developing rapport and trust with another person. And so people are willing to get vulnerable and share with the environment that they're in. So we're in a business networking situation, so people probably gave it that level. Some people might have got a little bit deeper if they felt connected enough to the other person to be able to share. And so when you don't have this fear and you have this psychologically safe environment or place, wherever that is, you can create that, then that's where all these creative ideas will come out. And so not only can you do that in a group like this that's more informal, but you can do the same thing in the workplace. If you can use these same types of get curious questions when you do your business meetings. What if you like open your business meeting with the exercise that Deborah had, just to get people moving and talking? I've done something similar. We've also done team building events where we're finding out about another person. And so one of my favorite ones that I had done with my team was we decided that we would pretend our unit was like a person. And we said, in our unit, if it was a person, what qualities or attributes would you have? Boy, the things that the people, my team came up with was just amazing. So you can see where if you can tell a story or picture about what could be, you can really open up the dialogue. And that's only like one of many. There was another situation where I learned about how to do this, use this tool where you could develop a storyline. And so we used it in a way that, okay, if we wanted a process in the workplace that it would take away a pain point for us, what would the title of it be? Would your audience be? What things would make the perfect experience? And we made little headlines and articles. And it was just amazing what the staff had come up with. They came up with real life examples using this fun 9x13 paper, I think it was, the A3 size, and they got the markers out, the crayons, they got really down and creative. And it was just something that I had learned because I was curious what this would look like if we took this tool I had learned in a class where we were learning about how to be data stewards. We were telling a story of something we wanted to solve. So I took this little example. I thought, you know what? I want to see if my staff are curious about how to use this tool and see what would happen. And I just thought, you can tell a story in the workplace and let the people that are closest to the work tell that, you can learn so much. And the same thing is when you're writing requirements for a line of business. You have to come up with business requirements, technology requirements. I found a way to use stories in that arena as well. And so I just wanted to say thank you for indulging me in what I like and have a passion to do more of, which is to teach, to get people in a room to have an experience, because I believe when you have an experience, you can take a concept that you learn, you can practice it, and then you can put your own spin on it and go out and use it in places that you can really have those really great conversations. So whether it's personal or professional, makes no difference. You're connecting with people, and you're doing it in a way where you can be giving to another person. And so it just makes everyone feel good, because there's so much out in the world where we're always taking things from people. And so the whole idea of giving just really resonates with me. I've been that way all my life. If you haven't figured out that person on the playground that would give the advice to the young ladies that would be talking about how someone stole their boyfriend. I mean, it started with those things, and now it's in the workplace. You know, I'm really having trouble trying to get this assignment done because you don't have enough staff to do it, and I don't feel supported, and I need some help to do this. And so, you know, I might say, you know what? Look at your resourcing. Who do you have on your team or another team you can leverage to work with you to do these things? So I just wanted to share that little piece. And so the other thing that I wanted to ask, and we have got candy here, so as you respond, you get a little treat, but yes, so listen. Right. Yes. So would you say that our culture still, that we don't slow down long enough to actually sit and listen to another person? Okay. And so giving that full attention to another person, when you take the time to do it, you get so much better experience when you actually do it. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but were there like some trigger words that somebody said something, and then they're like, oh, I got to tell them this. So if you're really sitting and listening and you're not thinking about the next thing you're going to say to share, then you can hear those trigger words. Then you can ask those questions of curiosity. And you can actually, and this is what I gave as a little picture, train your brain to actively listen. So remember when I was saying earlier, I want you guys to not think about the next thing. Were you guys able to do that? Were you able to? Okay. Because from my observation, I would say the answer is yes. Now, I don't know if I wouldn't have said that had it been the same or not. I want to say that I think that it would anyway, just because of the way that we were asking the questions. And we had to let the other person keep talking. We just kept asking questions of inquiry. Okay. So this is the part where I want to open it up to hear some group discussion. And so who wants to be the first person to receive a treat and tell me about this exercise? What did you learn? Or actually, what happened in the exercise that you were surprised about, the aha moment that you hear an exercise, you know we're going to do it, and you probably have a preconceived idea. So what's something that stood out for you that was different than what you had thought it would be?
Okay, I will. Well, okay. I will say, and this is probably kind of rude to say about that. Okay, this is kind of bogus. I've been other things, and it's just going to be a bunch of chit chat. And no, I think Kim and I actually did a pretty good job of talking to each other. She gave me some good feedback and some things that will help me, I think, in something I'm planning on doing in the future. And hopefully I gave her some good stuff too. So.
Excellent. So you're right. We went beyond the chit chat. We got deeper in our conversations. So that way we got a little bit below the surface and we found some meaningful things, because the reason why I gave you these cards is I didn't want you to have a conversation and not write down a few things, because I wanted you to walk out with this gift that you received. And that was really important. And so thank you. So the next question I have is, what did you like most about this activity as we went through it? And you wanted to share with the team, something you really got out of it.
I want to go. I usually never want to go.
So, fun fact, Amanda was actually that did my finger on my drums. And so that was a lot of fun, like talk to Amanda and learn a lot about the side things department licensing is doing. At the same time, I'll take away. I serve on the LGBTQ plus stay and play business group, and instrumental to our work. Just seeing that the message is getting to the frontline employees means so much to me, because it is really so important about it.
I'm glad that you got to have that experience, because I think that's nice to know that when you meet somebody that is in that line of work and they help you personally as a customer, just have that relationship that's in your mind. You have this good customer experience that they did this nice thing for me. And so that's an example of a desired state of going to that customer service state. And so, yeah, so cool. Does someone else have a?
I was. That was really good. I just like when I talk about something I'm passionate about, I get really pumped, really wound up, and I found myself like really pumped to respond, which I thought was really cool. I mean, I try and be engaged with people, but yeah, it was like she mentioned, you know, she mentioned education. I was like, my husband has resources in education. He used to work for charter schools, and so I was like excited that I was like, oh, I can help with something. So that was really nice feeling that I wasn't expecting.
And can I ask, how did you feel on the other side when she's getting all pumped up and giving you resources? How that made you feel?
It was good because it was the first time I've like, it's just a thought that's in my mind now. And so to express it and then have someone with positive feedback was really good. That's awesome.
So I had the same. I not cheat a little bit, but I know Jeff. I said to you, she was the chair for a long time. So I didn't know her well, but I was excited to see her and to hear what she's doing now. She is writing a book, and just to hear her talk about it, because she's writing about it, it's called Get a Grip, and it goes with your hand. I mean, there's all these things. I don't feel like I probably helped a lot as far as, because I would say, oh, have you done like training? Oh yeah, I've talked to her.
Coordinate with her.
So I guess maybe we will talk through what she's doing, and she's doing so many great things. But just hearing her be passionate about it, I was just so excited. I can't wait to read the book, and the other thing, because I know that she wants to be a motivational speaker, I said I can still see that. So I'm just so excited for her. It was great.
Thank you. Very happy to hear that. And if you ever need a publisher, there's one sitting in this room. Excellent. It's really hard not to, after hearing everyone swear, not to go around connecting. Yeah, for sure. I was actually.
Thank you for sharing my stories.
Yeah, Deborah and I were actually in a group this morning, and I was sitting there listening to all the different entrepreneurial ventures and the things that they need, and I'm sitting there, do this and do that. So the same kind of activity. It was really hard for me to sit there and not want to take their time and say, I know this and that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to send an email with some things that they might see as helpful and see where that leads as far as building a relationship with the people. So yes, it's very contagious, very fun. And even though it's simple to do, I don't know that you would think to just do it. And so I like to teach everybody that this is something you can do. And believe it or not, I used to be, I can't get away with it anymore, but I used to be that more shy, quiet, reserved person that would sit in back with me and watch all the conversations going on. So now I'm flipping the scene, and I am, up here, I'm talking to all of you guys. I actually don't feel nervous at all because I feel excited and passionate because I love being able to connect people. I love teaching, facilitating, all of those things. And so when I do those things, I feel energized. It's my moment. Now I do more of it. And so it's not even this thing about public speaking anymore. It's just something I do because I enjoy it and I'm passionate about it. And the biggest thing to all of me is just the appreciation that you can take these skills and go use them and then go share them with other people. I'm a person that does not want to take a thought or an idea and keep it to myself. I want everyone to know that. And so I encourage you guys to go share this with 1 or 2 people and just keep expanding it. And pretty soon, networking will be different all over the world.
So we have that question. I know, right? That's actually. So we had a little bit different experience. I think mine was along the lines of like tactical, because because I have a very concrete thing that I want to do. But Amy kind of threw me for a loop because hers wasn't actually related practically so much as it was an idea of who she wants to be as a person. And she mentioned that she would like to be, she has retired military, and she works with kids now. And she wants to be more spontaneous because she works in a very rigid, very regulated environment. And we share, that common passion about working in state government, and a lot of it's very regulatory, and so you have to find a different way of expressing that. So the more I said, well, what do you want to do in your efforts to be more spontaneous? And short version, is traveling to New Zealand in December and then making a stop in Australia. And so I was trying to think, well, where do I go with this? And then I thought,
That's spontaneous.
yeah. So I started with, so do you have an itinerary? And she said, yes, but the itinerary flies in the face of being spontaneous. And I said, well, that's not exactly where I'm going. I said, instead of an Excel spreadsheet version of an itinerary, how about researching, making a list of all the places you'd like to see and all the restaurants you would like to visit. And every morning when you wake up, look at your list. I'm going to go here, and then I'm going to eat here. And if you wake up one morning and you're really tired, you're not going to do anything. You're just going to sleep all day or, take a walk. But it's still spontaneous. It's not planned.
Yeah, it's a list of choices that you could do if you feel like it, and it's not in any particular order.
Exactly.
I love that.
That was very helpful.
That was very helpful. I love that.
Oh, that's it.
And could you do a blog so we can follow you?
Yeah. You want to follow my son's blog because he's actually in Australia right now.
I got one for
Somebody else.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
We had a great time. I was just blown away. She blew me away right away with what she's doing and her aspirations. She's really quite amazing. And then just chatting, she came up with these great suggestions. And then same thing. I was kind of blown away, like, wow, I really do have people that will help her. And I really do know people in that field. So it just felt very energizing, like you said, to just hear all of her ideas that were amazing, and then to be able to say, I do know people that can do that, and that might be a help to you. But for aspirations, we're awesome.
So do you mind sharing what some of your aspirations are, since she gave you that opening? Now I want to know.
My aspirations are to work with getting this quick healthcare kit that can go with the teams like the Salvation Army and those guys out to small villages and really give basic care and not have to always just to have basic care in those environments, and then teach it too, so avoid things like that are happening right now. So I've always had a passion for that. What I can do, what can I do more for to make another human happy, and
Oh, that's wonderful. So now you have a couple of things that Carol's recommended that you can do to activate that.
oh yeah, she had the Salvation Army, the Red Cross, getting myself out there, even though because I'm also in the service. I've been in 14 years, and I'm a medic.
Okay.
On the back end. So that would be awesome for me to really put myself out there and see what it's like.
Yes.
What she could do, medic and IT, and what they help
Yeah,
with
on the other
those
side of
countries,
things.
and
Mhm,
it's really, really wonderful.
Yes, I love that. Thank you. Oh, yeah, you go ahead. Go ahead. I already gave you.
I was going to share this Carol.
Okay, you just talk a little bit louder so we can hear you. Okay. It's okay. That's why we're here.
Really weird. But so Miss Carol is a wonderful woman. She's thinking about her future, what it means in terms of retirement. And one of the things she brought up was she wants to travel. That's one passion at her, traveling all across Europe, everywhere. But she wants to make sure she has a home base. She doesn't want to give up a home here, but she wants to travel. And the biggest fear you always have when you travel is you get bored after a week or two. And I threw a wrench in there. I asked her, ever thought about getting a home base in Europe? Just having a small condo out there that you can always go to. rest and not do anything. And then when you're ready. But it also keeps that feeling of I'm at home. You know, this is mine. I really enjoyed listening to her and what she wants and what she desires and stuff.
A home away from home that you can have your own. That's great because,
Brilliant.
yeah, because you're right. You get to a foreign place, you know, food's different, the culture's different, everything's different, and then you might miss what you came from. And so being able to have that safe place that you can be yourself, you can relax, you don't have to be on a agenda where you're in a hotel and have to be gone at a certain time.
You could make it a VRBO or a B&B.
Oh, you totally could. That'll help pay for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, rent it out when you're not there. Yes.
And it's all those things. You know, I have to say, I enjoyed it. That was kind of fun stumbling on that. And there were fellow Toastmasters, and you know, we have stuff to age, and it's just rewarding. How natural it just flowed. How close we are now.
Did you know about the Toastmasters before you started talking? No. Oh, so that just came out. Oh, that's wonderful.
She's so charming.
Well, yeah. We do actually. One of her ideas, when she first came out with agriculture and gardening, crap, I got nothing. But then as I was listening deeper, what she envisions is actually something I would love to see in this area. Have any of you traveled out towards Swim?
Yes.
And past there to Port Angeles?
Yes.
You would have passed Sunny Farms in Carlsberg on your way through?
Yes.
You gotta stop there. It's just this amazing country store. People have worked there for decades. And it just, it's.
Is that your field trip?
No, yeah. So, I mean, it's also. It sounds just like what she wants to be down here. And I'm like, yes, investor. I want to see that down here.
That's awesome.
It's great.
So I was able to connect her with it.
And so one of the things you guys probably realize too is that we all have dreams and aspirations, and in order to get there, we can be motivated ourselves. But it's even more inspiring when you have another person or persons joining you on your journey. And you know, the resource could be that the person sitting in this room can help you too, which is what you were describing. And so, you know, no one can do anything by themselves virtually. But getting together, there's more momentum, more people, and then you can work in your strength area or your passion area, and then have other people that also have like a passion area, and they can support you, and you can do so much more by doing it. Exponential. Exponential. That's right. Anyone else have anything that they want to add to the group that?
I do if everybody else. I just want to say I was surprised. I got surprised by your sister.
Oh, I think I was too, because I think I heard a few commonalities I didn't know were out there.
Yeah, and I'm like, what, maybe it's something I hadn't thought of before. I'm this person that has many ideas, and sometimes it drives myself crazy. But one of them is my husband and I are marriage counselors. We've done it organically and naturally for a long time, and people come and send other people, and so we've been doing this thing, and then I was sharing that side of myself with her, and she says, "Well, have you ever thought of doing it, you know, out in the military base?" Like, no. You know, she says, "Well, I can hook you up." You know, I'm like, what? So there's such a great need, right, for that everywhere, but you know, I hadn't really thought about that. So there's this all of a sudden this just talking to some people and finding out how we can serve people up there and in that area. And I'm also writing a book about our experiences with couples, and it's called Leaning In. It's not done yet. And what the phenomenon is when a couple comes to us, and each week they start getting some things fixed and healed and restored in their marriage, they start physically leaning in towards each other. And we've seen this happen time and time again. And so the book is called Leaning In, and it's a process we take couples through and just tips and things like that. So now I'm all motivated to get that done. Right? And so thank you. Thank you, Elizabeth.
Wow.
Yeah.
So for this evening, I want to leave just enough time to be able to continue on our conversations. And so I've gone through all of the formal part or informal part of our tonight or our time together. And so if anyone had any questions or wanted to talk about any of these things in a deeper level, I'm here and can do that. But I want people to enjoy the food that was graciously provided by the ICSW. I always have to look because I try to transpose it. I don't know why. So either have to say it out or look. And so anytime that you can get together to do professional development is huge. And so that was just such a nice thing for the subcommittee to be able to partner with us this evening to do that. And so I want to say thank you. And if we love this so much and that we want to make this an ongoing thing and we can do some other topics, I'm more than willing and happy and able and excited to do those. So I a lot of times will take different topics and I'll research them or find other people that have an expertise in the topic, bringing them in. I very much like putting on LinkedIn local events. I've done 3 so far. And one of the areas that people were mentioning is they'd like to see us head to Tacoma, just kind of keep on going down Western Washington. So yes, so if you guys want to trade partners again and do some more, that's great. Or if you have families and you want to take off, that's fine too. But I just wanted to put that out there that I'll hang out for a little while. Yes, and so yes, everyone eats. Thank you.
Good job, Linda.